Yo, what's going on? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. It means it's time for another live stream. Today is Monday, January 20th, 2025. Martin Luther King Day observed. So the girls have off from school today. And I do have to keep this kind of short because the girls want me to take them rock climbing after this. So that's where I'll be, even though the last thing I want to do today is put my feet into rock climbing shoes because my toes feel like they just raced a half marathon, and that's because they did. Just got back from Houston, got shiny new medal, really nice. The full marathon medal looks very similar, just it says 26.2 on it and has a different ribbon, but really like what they did with the medal for this year. And we can talk all about Houston. I know some of you guys were down there racing, supporting. I saw a lot of you guys at the shakeout run, so anything you guys want to talk about Houston, we can talk about it. But first, let's say hi to everyone listening on the audio-only version on the podcast. Hopefully you guys are staying nice and warm and safe today. It got real cold in Houston for the race, and then you guys are supposed to be getting weather today, I think. So hopefully everyone's doing okay. Hopefully no one's pipes are bursting. I heard a lot of stories about burst pipes while I was in Houston. And then even up here, it was like -1 degree Fahrenheit when I woke up today. So I was glad that I have a scheduled rest day today. So yeah, I'm good. If you are running, hopefully you're good. And for everyone watching this later but not live, I was checking through the comments somewhere. Someone said that this is the #1 running live stream to figure out how to aqua jog. And I gotta tell you, this is probably the worst place to figure out how to aqua jog because I don't think really, I think maybe 1 or 2 of you guys here know how to aqua jog, but I certainly do not. I cannot be your guide for that mission. But if you're aqua jogging, you're probably not listening to this later but not live, but maybe you're watching this later after an aqua jog, you know? Welcome. Brian Lang says, hold on. Oh, here's doing something weird. All right. Brian says he just got back home from a cold run, slathered schmaltz or Vaseline all over my body. Definitely felt warm. But a few loose dogs kept chasing after me. Did you actually use schmaltz? That could explain the dogs. And Runner Will says, nice. I just watched the half marathon video. What's up, CoFam? Thanks, Will. Good to see you. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. And Eliza says, hope everyone's well. Snowed here, which is yay. Nice. And then in Minneapolis, it's going to get up to -7 degrees Fahrenheit. Is that the high? That's brutal. That's brutal. My wife and I both really enjoy Minneapolis. I have friends that live there. She has friends that live there. And we were actually just up, I told you guys this, right? We were just up there for a rock climbing competition. But every time we go, we're like, Minneapolis sure is nice. I don't know why we don't live up here. And then I remember how the winters are. And then I'm like, well, that doesn't sound great. Most people wouldn't like have their kids leave the nest and then move somewhere colder. Which is, at this point, unless there was like a job reason, I don't think we'd be moving anywhere because the kids are in school and stuff. So, but I do love Minneapolis, except for that -7 degrees. And Johnny Dudgeon says it was awesome seeing Stevie76 popping up in Co's Houston video. Yeah, he was there last year too, and he got some footage of me last year as well. But what was also really funny, and I think I mentioned this on Johnny on your comment on the YouTube video, is that like I was looking through Adam Wood's social media and he had a picture of the big heads. He had reposted something that Stevie posted because Stevie's 76's family made big heads, not only of me, but also of Adam Wood and Mika Rivera. And they thought that was awesome. And I was like, oh my God, that's Stevie. He's awesome. His family, they love running YouTube. But I was happy to, it was just fun stuff happening, in Houston. Yeah, and Vanessa says, watch the Houston half video. Shout out to Steve76 for capturing footage. A lot of you guys did, and I appreciate that. I didn't ask you guys ahead of time, but a lot of you guys were out there, and I was like, I think some people got footage of me. I'd love to be able to include it. So I was really happy that you guys shared your footage with me, and then I was able to include it in the video. So that was a lot of fun for me. All right, Midlife Runner is here. He is here to certify a PR half of 1:20:35 at the Austin International Half. Amazing. Holy crud. That is so fast. Um, Especially since that's a hilly half marathon, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Great job. Wow, that's super impressive. Um, Amazing. I did not hit a PR in Houston. I think I hit the very narrow overlap between me being right on my predictions and Rana being right on its predictions. Because Rana predicted that I would run somewhere between 126 and 130. And I thought that I would come in right at 125, give or take a minute. And I came in at 126.03. So we were both right. I mean, I guess Rana was a little bit 3 seconds righter than I was, but or maybe a little bit more than 3 seconds, but yeah, there you go. Um, okay. A lot of congratulations for midlife running. That's amazing PR. Scuba-san says, great job on the race and great video. Thanks. I've got a couple more coming out. I've got a reel that I want to put together. Just because I love filming the half marathon at Houston so much. And I think next year I'm probably not going to run it. I'm probably going to go back, but I'll probably film it like I did 2 years ago because I enjoyed that so thoroughly. But I'd like to put together like a race reel of the pros. And I did have help. Chase Fleming, who has helped me before on a couple of other video projects, had start line and finish line access for video. And so I'm going to use some of his footage, but I'm going to give it a minute to breathe too, because he got a really great shot of Conor Mantz breaking the American record. And that reel is doing really well. So I'm going to give that some room to breathe. And then I'll put together something for the pros. Because I didn't get a ton of stuff myself, but I feel like we can mix in kind of half marathon and make our own reel that way kind of together. So that's what I'm thinking. And Baldy said, I'd like the PR bell, please. 3:28:34, almost a 17-minute PR. Amazing, Baldy. You know what, guys, though? Baldy called the shot, too. Because I talked to you on Saturday, and I was like, how you feeling? What are the goals? Well, I asked you if you were going to be at the Freaks cheer station. And you're like, no, because I'm running this year. I'm running the marathon. And I was like, all right, any goals? And you said 3:30. But it's probably going to be faster than that. So called the shot and everything on a tough day to run. So amazing work. Great job. Julio, sorry, I'm not reading very well today. Julio De La Torre says, congrats. How you felt the Rana training went for you? I thought it went well. There are some things that I'm certainly thinking about. And not just about the Rana plan, but more on like how I'd like to train generally. I just feel like the way I just fall apart at the end of races, I don't think it's just mental. I think it's a lot mental, but I don't think it's just mental. And this run plan definitely kind of like prepared me more, both physically and mentally, to being tired and still trying to run quickly. But I think that I need to run some shorter distances. And I don't have any marathons on my calendar until when is Sydney? August, September? And even then, that's only penciled in at this point. So I think I don't know if I'll still do it with Rana. I'll take a look at some of their plans, but I'd like to do, I don't know why, but I was like rethinking a training strategy if I were to coach myself while I was running the race. I don't know. My mind went to a couple of very weird places during that race. But one thing I was thinking is, both Rana and Sage and Sandy, they both had me doing really long threshold reps. And by long, I mean anything over like 6 minutes. So it'd be like 1.2 miles, 2 miles, 2.5 miles at like threshold effort. And I don't know if those work for me. So I don't know. I think if I did some, maybe some 5K races to prepare, I get stronger in the legs. And then I also I'd like to do more, but shorter threshold reps, but still also doing some long reps too. When I did double threshold training, I would do a 6 by 6 minutes in the morning threshold workout, and then in the evening I would do a 20 minutes or a 5K at threshold. But because I was already tired for the day, like the paces would be off by a lot. They'd be a lot slower, and I don't know if that's really correct double threshold training or not. But and I know it's not classic double threshold training. But that I felt like made me really strong, and I'm trying to figure out like, all right, let's go back to like what made me really strong, and let's see if maybe I'm just getting old, which is very possible, or is there something to that I need to kind of build off of more? So there's lots of things to think about. I really enjoyed the plan though, because then it gave me workouts to do, and I didn't have to think about them. I like writing my own plans, but I also don't like writing my own plans. So, yeah. Wilfredo's here. He says, "Que pasa, Confucians? Thanks again for coming down, but you forgot to take back the cold weather with you." Sorry about that, man. You're gonna have to hold on to it for a little bit. We got some cold weather up here too, though, so you guys aren't the only ones dealing with it. But man, it was good to see you on Saturday. Thank you for coming out. And JC says, "Did the half winner cut off Mance at the finish?" There was definitely contact at the end, and it kind of looked like he was trying to box him out. So did he cut him off? I don't think he cut him off. Did he box him out? Yeah. Did he need to? Probably not. But I guess, I don't think I mean, there was contact, but I'm not sure it was early enough that it actually impeded any progress. Does that make sense? I don't know. I think it went back and forth because, I talked to Chase Fleming about it. He's like, we didn't know who won for a long time. But to me, when I saw the clip in real time, it looked like the other runner won. And then for a while, I think City Smag was reporting that Connor Mance won. They both had a 59.17, but I think that ultimately Connor Mance was behind by 0.01 of a second. So very, very close finish. Sprint finish, I think 2 years in a row now. Terrence is here. He says, "No work means no meetings. Hi, Fuzzy Run Club. Congrats on the race, Mike." Well, good to see you again, Terrence. And thank you so much. That was a hard race. I wanted to give up at like the 3K mark. At 3K, I was like, can I just stop? But then I was like, I'm not even hurt. I'm just, I'm not even tired. I'm just anticipatorily tired. But like that kind of feeling of like, what would happen if I just stopped running? Or every time I saw a bank of bathrooms, I was like, I could just go to the bath. I didn't have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, maybe I should just go to the bathroom for a little bit, and that'll throw off my time, and then it'll be too bad, and I could just kind of hard run it in, but not race it in. There was just a lot. There was a lot of that kind of stuff for me. It was hard mentally. Adam says, "You have a scheduled rest day? Would you not rest if it weren't scheduled, even if you felt bad?" Oh, I would definitely rest today. Yeah, no worries, Adam. I would definitely rest today, because I am exhausted. One thing that I feel good about is that like I don't think I've ever felt this wrecked after a half marathon before. So I feel like I really pushed my body. I maybe didn't extract the fastest possible half marathon time out of my body, but I definitely made my body work hard, maybe harder than I've ever worked on a half marathon before. So there's that. Thomas Duen says, "What's going on, everybody? Single digits here in Ohio. I got a few miles in outside, and glad you linked up with Alfredo for the shakeout." Yeah, he took a really great shot of everybody. I forgot to do a group photo, so my apologies that if you were at the run, but then didn't make it into the group photo, because I didn't get the group photo until like someone reminded me. They were like, "Hey, we forgot to do a group photo," and I was like, "Oh no!" I was gonna do one before we went on the run, and then I forgot, and then I And I forgot to remember to do one when we got back. So we didn't get one. I think we lost some people. Not on the run, but before the group run. You know. U.S. runner was cheering on runners at the Austin International Half yesterday. Good work. It looks like a lot of people ran well there. I don't know how they are. It's so hilly. All right, let me scroll down. I'm way behind you guys in the chat. Matt Legrand's here. He says, "Yo, Co, what's going on?" What's going on, Matt? Good to see you. Tracy says, "How was the wind during the race?" The wind was bad. I was lucky though. So one thing that I kept doing, because I kept basically dying during this race, figuratively, and I clearly not literally, but I wasn't doing well during the race. Or I felt like everything was hard. And then what I would do is every time I got passed by a group of people, I would just try to latch on for as long as possible. And my mentality was, it's going to be uncomfortable for about a minute, but after a minute, it'll become the new normal and you'll feel fine. Just go. It worked not that often, but that was my approach, is to just not let myself get dropped by too many people. Not because I wanted to race, but because I wanted to, use that momentum of the group. And so for a lot of the stuff where it was really windy, I was lucky that I was able to get kind of behind people. So I wasn't doing a lot of the work. I definitely had a lot of people pull me along, and I'm very grateful for them. I found a lot of them after the race, and I thanked them profusely. And I apologize for not being able to share the load. But it was windy. It was really windy. The nice thing is, though, that this year, there in the final mile, there was it's like an urban canyon through there. Last year, it was a big headwind. This year, it was a huge tailwind. So that was really nice. So that was good. But when it wasn't windy, it was bearable. Or if we had the tailwind, it was bearable. But when it was a headwind, it just got so cold. It felt like I was going into an ice bath. Now, I don't like ice baths. And maybe I'm very sensitive to cold in that way. But I just... every time the wind hit me in the face, it just was a shock. I didn't like it. Eric wants to know if there's any regrets using the Puma. No, I thought the Puma was a great shoe. I really enjoyed it. I saw a lot of them. I don't think I've ever seen so many Nitro Elite 3s at a race before, but I saw many of them. Most of them passed me. That's how I saw them. But I saw a lot of them. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great half marathon race shoe. The only shoe that I had, Houston used to be a race where a lot of pros would race in prototypes. Now I think because I don't know if they're paying more or what, but the level of prestige of the race seems to be increasing, and certainly the level of competition is there. I mean, it took a 59.17 to win. Connor Mance came in at 61. And was 10th for a 61. Not Connor Mance, Clayton Young. Did I say Clayton? I meant Clayton Young. 10th place was 61 minutes. So it's a very fast race. But the only shoe that I hadn't seen before was the Hyperion Elite 5. I saw one person wearing them at bag check. So maybe a Brooks person. It didn't seem like an influencer. I didn't recognize the person. Maybe they're sub-elite. But I feel like ADP, the American Development Program runners, were not in the regular bag check area. I think they had their own space. So, if I would have seen them before the race, then they were, quote-unquote, a regular person. And then Erica Kemp was also wearing them, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to get to interview her, I think, tomorrow, next day. I have it written down somewhere. But I'm going to get to interview her, so I'll ask her all about it. But that was the only shoe that I hadn't seen before. I'm sure there were some, there had to have been some Vaporfly 4s, but I didn't see them personally. Matt says, that his older brother ran the Houston Marathon yesterday. It was super steady and very even pacing for the entire race. It's very impressive because some parts were pretty steady headwinds, but keeping steady pacing was going to be hard that day. Scott Hilton has a marathon PR. Congratulations. He ran a 3:48:13 PR by 15 minutes and ran in the Evo SLs. They did great. Thanks for the support of the race, Co. Nice work. Evo SL is awesome. Very cool. Roshan Fernandez says, hey Mike, hello from cold Scotland. So I was on the treadmill watching your awesome half marathon video, then saw the live stream started and almost flew up trying to change my YouTube selection. Oh, awesome. Well, I'm glad you didn't fall. I'm glad you only almost flew off. But welcome. Hopefully you're having a good run out here. And Midlife Runner says, the Austrian half is 300 feet all downhill. It's like the Jack and Jill of half marathons. Good for a couple more seconds per mile, I think. The Austin half of February is the hilly one. Oh, interesting. I did not know that. I might have to try that. Chris Lyon says, I wonder if the wind prevented hitting your PR. I think the wind was a part of it. I think the weather was a part of it. It was colder than I like for racing. I would have loved it to be 10 degrees warmer. But that's I should have just brought long sleeves and mittens. And then it would have been just like running a normal workout, you know. But I wanted to race in my race kit. And I feel like that vanity, you know, probably cost me a little bit. Maybe not a ton. Who knows? I don't know. But it was a little bit colder than I would have liked. I think the weather for me was a bigger thing. It was just really hard. Like warming up didn't go that poorly. I felt like that went fairly well. But then spending time in the corrals waiting for the race to start, it just was tough. It was tough. Matthias says, have you got the Endorphin Elite 2? Are you on the list to get a pair? I can guarantee you that I'm not on the list to get a pair. Saucony doesn't seem to be sending me stuff anymore, which is fine. So I'll have to wait to try and buy it myself. So, Stephen C says, what's your strongest distance when you plug your PRs into a calculator, or are they evenly distributed? I would say that my marathon distance is probably my strongest one. I would say maybe it's because that distance suits me and my natural traits better, or it just might be that I've tried it more often than any other race. But I feel like, well, for example, when I put my marathon time into Runna, I used my Berlin marathon time because that was the most recent one. That was a 3:13. And even though that's far from my PR, the 3:13 marathon time in Runna's mind equated to like an 18-minute 5K. And my 5K PR is like 18:59, maybe. I think 18:59, 19:02, something like that, right around 19. And so based on that, I think it's my 5K PB is weak. Or maybe my marathon PR is strong. And the same thing, I think, when I talk to people, like I was talking with Aaron Worldwide, when I was on the PR project the other day. And like his marathon PR is like a 3:03, but his half marathon PR is like 1:20. You know what I mean? And so like if you look at that, then it's just like, well, that seems off a little bit. Very different from me. I'm a 1:25 guy. Well, I guess I'm a 1:26 guy today. But 1:26, and then I guess maybe that's not so off, because right now I think I could probably run at 3:05. I'm not in marathon shape, but like I feel like the fitness is probably between 3 hours and 3:05. But I feel like, so I don't know. I feel like my marathon PR is stronger than what the charts would indicate based on what my 5K PRs are, and like 10K, you know. Wojtek, what's going on? He says, it's so cold outside, Mike. I'm moving this weekend to Orland Park. I'm already sacrificing my long run this Sunday, and it looks like today and tomorrow we'll need to stay inside as well. Yeah, well, good luck on the move. Um, yeah. Orland Park, that's farther away, isn't it? Then. Adam says that Roche hates ice baths or any cold too. Yeah, I don't like cold. I deal with it. I run in the cold. I prefer to train in cold weather versus hot weather, but I can't stand an ice bath. I don't even like it when it's. I like. I like to get the bathroom super steamy because I do not like the transition from hot shower to stepping out of the tub and it's chilly. I can't stand that. I just it so uncomfortable, so unpleasurable. And so I just cold. I don't like it. I don't like cold. Brian Lang says, but maybe ice baths can help condition you to the intense blasts of wind. I think wind conditions you to wind. you know, but the kicker on that and the way that it might be helpful is that like the wind in Houston was icy. So I don't know. Frank says, is Houston a World Athletics Platinum race? Is it? I don't know. Adam wants to know, did I see the Hyperion Elite 4 PB? Yeah, CJ was a pacer, but I did see him come in. I don't know what he was pacing. I don't know if he was pacing the marathon. He was by himself when I saw him. Or if he was a half marathon pacer and was just like, whatever, I need to get my miles in. I'll just run the full. Either one seems likely to me. But he was running in the Hyperion Elite 4 PBs. That's what it looked like to me anyway. Johnny Dodgen says, was Manson an Alpha Phi proto? If he was... No. No, I don't think so. Does that put his record in jeopardy? How does the record rules work for that? Like, you can't... Like, you can run in a proto, right? For World Athletics purposes. Assuming you follow, like, the rules of, like, it can't have been a proto for more than a year. It has to still follow all the stack height measurement rules, the technical specs. It has to be presented for inspection beforehand and stuff like that. But but you can't do that you can't have a proto for the Olympics. What does that mean for a record? I don't know. And Julio de la Terre says, did I consider any other shoe for this race? Yeah, the only other shoe that I was thinking about was this one right here, the Adios Pro 4. So I was thinking about using the Adios Pro 4. Basically, those are the two shoes that I reached for the most during this training block. Whenever I saw, like, oh, this is a tough workout. And I don't have a shoe that I'm specifically testing. So, kind of like if I could choose anything, what would I pick? It was those two. So this empty spot right here on the wall, that's where the Nitro Elite 3 normally sits. And then the Adios Pro 4. Those were the two. So I was close between those two. Brian Lang says, how much research do you do pre-interview? I do some. Probably not. Probably not as much as I should. But I'm also of the mindset that when it comes to me doing athlete interviews, I need to do a lot more reps. So I need to make it a really solid 20 minutes rather than try to do like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. I just don't know how to talk to people like that in a podcast type of form. And so I'm still trying to keep all my interviews very short. And so that means that like I do have to do research. But like I don't in a way because like I'm not trying to interview everyone. Like I'm not going like in Chicago I tried to get the top 3 American women and top 3 men finishers to interview them. The top 3 Americans. And then like for this one it's like not like I have to go through and I'm forced it or somehow obligated to interview them. I'm interviewing the people that I'm cherry picking. So it's people that I already know their story and I'm already familiar with them, So it's not a ton of research. And because I really only like to interview athletes after a race, we could talk about the race. That takes up a bit of time. We could talk about the shoes that they picked. That takes up a bit of time. and like what shoes they've been training in. After that, there's, depending on the athlete, there may or may not be a lot of other stuff to go over, you so it keeps it nice and tight. And that's the idea. Make them really enjoyable but short. As I get better at it, I'll work on, I can allow it to get longer, Natasha Davidson is back and says, happy to be back for my second live. In this cold, wind, snow in New York, I too have been constantly reminding myself on runs that you're not injured or even tired, so stop thinking of stopping. That's exactly what I was going through. Yeah, Natasha, you understand. That's how I felt for most of the race. Something else that was really motivating for me was that, there were a couple, I don't know if it was this, I kept seeing the same kid. I know I saw the same kid multiple times. But I felt like I saw multiple young runners, I don't want to say kid, young runners with NXR, like knit caps. So I'm like, oh, these are like fast high school kids. Maybe they're collegiate runners now or something like that. And I was like, all right, I'm going to try to hold on to these young kids. I'm try to stay with them. That was one of the things I tried to do. So again, just trying to, anytime I saw someone, just try to latch on as best as I could. And then once I was there, just be like, just focus on keeping the same distance apart. Don't worry about the watch. Whatever they're running is what you're running. Just try not think about it as much as possible. I did not look at my watch all that much. I'm proud of myself for that. I normally look at my watch way more. But I think it would have helped if I looked even less. Because there were some people, I found a couple of people, that were looking to run 125s. Two different women. I met one, her and her husband at Bag Drop. He was trying to run 71 and she was trying to run 125. And then as I was running, people were like cheering, like, hey, Kofuzi. And then someone looked over and was like, oh, Kofuzi, what are you running today? I was like, 125. I'm like, me too. And she's like, that's perfect. And this was like mile 1.5 or something like that. And so I just tried to follow her for a long time. But she seemed to be running fast. She looked like she was doing great. And she did do great because I saw her after the race and I was like, how'd you do? She's like, 124.17 or something like that. And she's like, how did you do? I'm like, not 124. I was like, I did okay. But I wish, there were times where I was keeping up with her and I was like, this feels a little fast. And I would look at my watch and it would say like 6:20s, 6:15. And that freaked me out. If I maybe just not looked at it and been like, okay, this is hard, but she's doing it. We're both going for the same thing. Let's put your head down and go kind of thing. I wonder how differently the race could have gone. But also, she was way stronger than I was. So it probably still would have ended the same way. Stevie76 says, Clayton Young is so nice. I yelled at him from across the street when he was leaving the finish line, and he yelled back, thank you for your support. He is very nice. I've met him a bunch of times. Super nice guy. And then I did see him on the cool down. I think you guys don't see his face in the video because I saw him coming. He was coming up the street behind me from where I was standing watching for the runners. And I happened to turn around at that moment and I saw him coming and I just was waving like, Clayton, great job today. And I didn't even think to turn on my camera. And then once he passed me, then it was like, oh yeah, I probably should have filmed that. But yeah, he's super nice. Rafael Carvalho says, I'm running the Pit Marathon in May, Co. I know it's a hilly one. Elevation gain is about 1,200 feet. Has anyone done it here? I don't know if anyone's done it here. There was a while where Dick's Sporting Goods, I think they were the sponsor, or they were at the time, used to bring a lot of people out there for that one. They never called me up, but because I also think it was like a Dick's/Nike thing. Maybe it wasn't because Hella was there, so it must not have been. Anyway, I didn't get a call. But yeah, there's a lot of people that have done it. Clearly, it's a big race, but I don't know if anyone's done it here. Let's see. Adam says, have you looked at your age grading at various distances? I have not. What is age grading? I mean, I understand the concept of it, but like, what age grading calculator? All right. Should we, is this something we want to do together? Should we take a look at this? Okay. All right. Let's put this on the screen and see what this shows. I don't know what it's going to show. I've never really thought about this before. Okay. So now we got this thing. And there's like ads all over it and stuff too, but here we go. Okay. Let's fix this a little bit. I think I need to make this bigger. Okay. Age grading calculator. I don't know. This is the first one that pulled up. Who knows how accurate it is, if at all. Male, age 45. Road. Let's do half marathon. Okay. Time. 01/26/03. Age grading 72.42%. Do you think that's why they keep showing me toilet paper ads on this? Or is that just good for a running website? Anyway, your time of 1:26:03 for a half marathon as a 44-year-old male yields an age grading percentage of 72.42. Okay. What does that mean? Okay, equivalent performances. See what approximate time you'd have to run for other different distances to achieve an age grading of 72.42%. I've never run a 60 meters before. 100 meters, 14.25. I don't know. I'm not sure if I could do that. 200 meters, 28. I don't think I can run that. To be honest with you, maybe I could. I don't know. I don't think so. Let's see some distances I know. 5,000 meters, 18:44. That sounds about right. Or let's do the 5K. Because I don't run a 5,000 meters. 5K, I'm faster than that, which is interesting. 10K, I've never actually raced that. I think I've run that fast before. I think I ran that. I think that's about what I ran for the 10K at the half yesterday. But, I don't have like a 10K race that I've done in a long time. And marathon says I'd be 3 hours. So, yeah, there we go. If I had hit my goal of 124 and change, I'd be at like 73.5. Oh, now you're giving it like grades. The Asian side of me is getting all riled up now. 72%, that's an F. But that's funny. I'm regional class. Okay. I wouldn't be national class. That makes sense. To be national class at my age, I'd have to be, what, 80%? I'd have to run like an 80-minute. Maybe. 70. Yeah, so that doesn't, that sounds, I mean, that doesn't sound wrong. Okay. I feel like this website is so jammed stuff full of SEO. It's like the same gibberish sentence over and over again. What is age grading percentage? Age grading percentage is the percent grade of age for runners. Like, what? Okay. Well, actually, at least they have some definitions for how they figured this out. Interesting. All right, so 72% Asian F. I feel like I'm faster than all. My 10-mile time, I think, is a 63. When did I last run Cherry Blossom? I think I ran a 63. 63.50 maybe. So I'm a little bit ahead on all those. So there we go. I feel okay about that. Yeah. Mike Peterson says, on whose scale is 72% an F? Yeah, Maddie Mac says, I'm all-American for my age. I'm not all-American. I'm all-conference, maybe. And Ben Young says that I love that Kofuzi being advertised for TV shows. Since we know that it's news or nothing for my, yeah, pretty much, pretty much. I will watch. I like watching American Greed, and I like watching Shark Tank. I watch Shark Tank with the kids. The kids love Shark Tank. So I'll watch that. I like American Greed because they usually catch the bad guy at the end, and so it's like satisfying. And then you know what else I love on television? I'm obsessed on television with shows like Northwoods Law, like anything that involves like Department of Nature and what is it, like the department, I don't, like park marshals and stuff like that, where people are like tracking down hunters that don't have a permit. Maybe they're hunting out of season, anything like that. There's like 1,000 of those shows. Those shows I don't. It's like Cops, but for hunting, and I don't know why, but I love it. It's it's so bizarre, but I'll watch those. I'll have those on the. I've been watching that a lot because I'm trying to watch less news. So, yeah, DNR. Mark says Department of Natural Resources. Yeah, Eric says next time on FKT Poachers. Can you that see? I would watch that. I would watch that. And Alfredo wants to know, hey, Cud, did you enjoy the king cake after the shakeout run? The king cake was nice. It was super sweet though, so much sugar on it. I think it was Jay. Jay brought some king cakes for everybody to enjoy, which was super nice because there was, it was a super low key shakeout run. No brand support, so I didn't have anything to give out, no freebies. But someone brought some snacks, king cakes. How auspicious. And he specifically requested his king cakes with no baby, so no one would accidentally break a tooth. So very, very, very considerate. And that was great. Conversation Pace says, can I get a PR belt? I hit 255.38, my first full in Houston yesterday. Congratulations. Amazing. What a hard day to run a PR. I'm so angry at everyone that PR'd yesterday. Because I just want to get on here and say, like, man, conditions were rough. Bad day for racing. But then all you guys keep hitting PBs. And it makes me look bad. I had a long conversation yesterday about how, like, I'm super upset with Connor Mans. Because I want to say, man, it was so windy. It's too cold to race fast. It was just, it was more of like just survival. I feel like 126 was like a PR level effort for me, given the conditions. And then the first thing anyone's going to say is, well, it didn't stop Connor Mans from breaking like an 18-year-old record. So, you're right. Damn you, Connor Mans. Yeah. Conversation Pace says, it was my first full, to be fair, but so technically a PB no matter what, I guess. Man, that's your debut, 255? Incredible. Corey's here. He said, Corey's here. He says, 255 in those conditions? Congrats. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, what do you guys watch on TV? The one show that I'm kind of interested in watching right now is Severance. Although, like, I just don't have patience for a lot of shows anymore, and especially ones that are serious. I don't know. Life is dramatic and intense enough. I don't like to watch very dramatic shows. And for the longest time, I thought Severance was that show on HBO about the rich family and like the inheritances and stuff, but that's a different show, I think. But anyway, so the guy from Parks and Rec, Recreation, is in the show Severance, and all they talk about is how he had to think about how to run for that sequence that they keep showing, where he's like running through this labyrinth of office hallways, and it just makes me think. I'm like, you had to think how to run. You have to think how to... And then he's like, yeah, I spent a lot of time watching Tom Cruise running, because he runs in suits a lot for like Mission Impossible and stuff. So he's like, he tried to run like Tom Cruise when he did that. And I was like, that's so specific. I mean, I appreciate the artist and his craft, but like, that's such an odd thing. I don't know. Mm. Conversation says Severance is a great show. Mm. And Calvin says movie running is different to rear running. Yes, it is very much so, because I feel like they can't even let. Well, one, they got to do it a bunch of times, so who knows how many wind sprints they got to do, right? But the other thing is, you have to be able to do it the same speed as the camera that's tracking. And if it's like a giant rig and it takes 3 people to push it, I feel like along the dolly, on the tracks. I feel like that's just a lot. That's a lot that they got to move. So you got to like look like you're running fast, but also be controlled. I don't know. Yeah. You know. Matty Mac says, I'm going to method act and run my next race in the style of Connor Mance. I'm surprised more people aren't at this point. You know what I mean? Because like you talk to Bromka. Bromka will admit that he has low arm carry because he grew up watching Ryan Hall run. He specifically has called out, not to his face, but he specifically called out Ryan Hall for being the reason why so many American distance runners right now have low arm carry. And so like I just think that like, is there going to be a crop of future next gen Bromkas that all like punch the air as they run in the style of Connor Mance? It'd be interesting to see. GMWBZ says, did you use any specific shoe rotation for the Houston Marathon prep? I did and I didn't. I mean, my shoe rotation is always, I never have like, here's the secret shoe rotation that I really use when I'm not testing, because I'm always testing. And so like, everything is shoes that I am doing a current review on, or I'm doing a long-term review on. But I use daily trainers for easy running. I use tempo shoes and sometimes carbon-plated shoes for workouts and tempo runs. And then for big workouts, I'll use race day shoes. For long runs, depending on the long run, I might use a long run specific shoe or a daily trainer. In either event, I match the day's run with the shoe type. And so that's kind of how I have a rotation. But specifically, I mean, you could look at my Strava and see whatever the shoes were, but it's basically a more easy way to do it is probably look at what are the shoes I've reviewed in the last 2 months. That was my rotation. Conversation paces. Any suggestions on the next marathon? Maybe 4 to 7 months from now. Didn't get into Chicago this year, sadly. I mean, that's going to be tough because 4 to 7 months from now, what's that put us in? May? I think that's already past Eugene. Grandma's would be in June, right? But that is, or maybe around that time, but it's already full. I think a lot of the fun, like the more well-known ones are going to be full already. So you're looking at probably something more local. C10 fan wants to know, will Connor Mance break the American marathon record this year? This year? I don't know about this year. But maybe, I mean, he's got momentum. So I'm like, momentum goes such a long way. The thing that was really peculiar, though, is did you guys watch the Sidious Mag series? The 2 episodes. I guess they made it a 3-episode series because they made a race day video. But they made the last episode came out Saturday night because they wanted to include, I guess, some footage from the press conference, which was Thursday, by the way. I feel like that video needed to go out a little bit. I don't know. I don't know the story about the production. But anyway, but on the second video that they put out, they started talking about Clayton Young more, because when they got there to film the second episode, Connor Mance was like on no running. He was hurt, he said. So he's on one of those bikes that, you move your arms forward. He was doing that without doing the bike part, just doing the arm part. And he said he was aqua jogging. No, he said he was in the pool but not kicking because he couldn't exert his feet. And so like this was I think 3 weeks out from the race. And so I was like, oh man, what a bummer. Sidious Mag went through all this effort to try to have this docuseries, and they spent a lot of time and energy and money on it. And one of the stars is going to be injured for race day. So that's kind of a bummer. You would love to see the stars go head to head and actually race it and duke it out. And then he comes back and he's winning it. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to need to take a really long break now, or if he's like, nah, I just maybe need an extra down week every here and there. You know, I don't know. Ben Young says in TV he likes True Detective Night Country. Don't let other expectations get to you on the finish. I don't know about that. He said I don't like true. My wife loves true crime stuff. She loves Dateline all the time. So maybe she would like that. But I think the reason why I like Northwood's Law is because the stakes are relatively small. You know, it's not a murder. It's not a serial killer. It's like this guy's using traps, and he's not allowed to use traps this time of year. You know, and it's like, so the stakes are. I just like things that are light. Milbert 5100 said, do you carry hydration? No, for the half marathon I didn't. It was cold, so I knew like I wouldn't feel thirsty. I did take Gatorade at mile 6, maybe mile 5, somewhere in that range. And I had 2 gels. And then normally in the summertime, I usually will do like a loop, so that way I can leave water bottles at my car. And then I try not to carry hydration on my person if I can avoid it. I just don't like to. It gets so hot and clammy, you know. Tracy Smith says, is anyone here doing Eugene? The only people I know doing Eugene, I think, are Aaron and Gary, a PR project. Other than that, I don't know who's doing it. I don't know if that's a race that Ali Feller goes to regularly, right? I don't know if I don't think she's going to run the marathon, but she's usually an announcer there, I think. GMWBZ says, have you ever run a marathon? Maybe not an all-out one. The weekend after a half marathon or other race? I'm not sure. I don't think so. I'm trying to think of what my fastest turnaround for a marathon would be. Maybe like a month for me. I don't like to race that many marathons. I mean, I guess if it were a fun run, I could do it. It would still be hard, you know, but yeah. Patrick says, I will say, I find it odd that they could project Joe Klecker to potentially break a record in an event he's never attempted. I was very skeptical. Yeah, well, you know, his coach is Dathan Ritzenheim, and so I feel like if his coach is looking at him and saying like, yeah, this guy has that potential, I feel like that goes a long way from a guy who knows that kind of speed personally, you know? Not that other coaches can't know whether an athlete is in 59-minute shape, but I think that was a big part of it. I think another big part of it is that he has so much speed at the 10K. I'll tell you a funny story. I don't really know if it's one of those things where I'm allowed to share it, but I don't think it's bad. But anyway, so after the race, before the race, I had in passing seen Tom Wang, who does, I don't know his exact title, but he works on the Coffee Club podcast, and he was running the half, and after the race at bag drop, I saw him again and we chatted for a while. And I was like, hey, do you know how they did? Because I didn't, you know, at that point, I hadn't asked anyone what the results were. And he's like, yeah, Connor Mance broke the record. And I was like, oh, amazing. How did Joe Klecker do? He goes, he kind of blew up. He ran like a 61 or something like that. And I was like, or whatever the time, I don't remember what exactly he ran. So he was a bit disappointed. Morgan outkicked him at the end. And I was like, incredible. And Tom goes, I hope that doesn't make lunch really awkward. And I was like, okay, that it'd be great. I don't think that it would. I don't know Joe Klecker. I've never met him before, and I don't know Morgan McDonald, but I am going to be interviewing him this week. So I'll finally get to talk to him like directly in person. We've kind of like messaged each other and stuff before, but we've never actually chatted. But I'm gonna ask him if lunch was awkward. but then if he's like, why would you say that? I don't want to be like Tom Wang was talking stuff. I don't want to get this guy in trouble. So anyway, that would be really funny if it was awkward. Like if Joe Klecker were mad that Morgan had a good day. I mean, I feel like that's great for Morgan. I know, like in the workouts from Morgan's videos, it looked like Joe was like crushing, and so it really felt to me like Joe was a lot, was a lot stronger. So a better executed race could beat out one where someone really takes a big risk and swings and a miss. And I feel like all runners should understand that, and you wouldn't hold a grudge against your teammate. But anyway. Oh, Adam says, which Morgan McDonald or Morgan McDonald? Yeah. CV76 says, interesting. Klecker's mom won Houston in 92 to qualify for the Barcelona Olympics. Is that true? That is the fun fact. That's an amazing fun fact. Whoa. Wait. Really? Mark says, I met Dathan and Matt Teagenkamp at Griak in college. I took a pic with them, but I didn't really know who they were at the time. That's so funny. Why did you take? It's funny when that happens to me too. Sometimes people will be like, "Hey, can I get a picture as well?" Like after a couple people get a picture, and then they'll get the picture, and they'll be like, "And why are people asking to take your picture?" And I'm like, I'm on YouTube, So that's pretty funny. Mark says, I said this last week, but not sure if you saw it. I didn't see this. He goes, but one more example of my 6 degrees of runner separation is my buddy's dentist is Joe Klecker's mom. That is wild. He is from Minnesota. That's true. Not that I was doubting you, but I'm like, oh, yeah, I did just learn this week that from the Sidious series that Klecker's from Minnesota. So Johnny Dodge says, were there any bingo hits over the weekend? Okay. So I don't think that there were. So as far as the bingo cards go, I know we had made bingo cards and everyone gets like their own individual one. I don't think that there were any hits. We got close with some David Goggins. He was carrying a big log somewhere. And people were like, does this count? I was like, it's not a boat. He has to literally carry a boat. So we were close on that one. I don't think, I'll have to go look again to check for sure, but I don't think there was any bingo or even any squares filled in, Oh, Adam says, according to Wiki, Joe Klecker is the son of Barney and Janice Klecker, both pro marathoners, winners of Grandma's Marathon and Twin Cities Marathon, and both U.S. national record holders in the 50-mile and the 50K run, respectively. What? I didn't know that. Man. I feel like I view a runner differently. It's not their fault, clearly. But I perceive a runner a little bit differently if they had pro marathoner parents, or if they had like pro runner parents. I don't know why. I just do. And I don't know how that makes me feel about Joe Klecker. But it is kind of a fun fact that he has 2 pro runner parents. Amazing. What brands did they run for? Anyone know? Anyway. All right. I think that's a good place to leave it for today, guys. The half marathon race video is up. I'm working on like the race recap and like runner's weekend kind of thing. That'll hopefully come out later this week. Before then, we'll do another live stream though. Thursday. I think I have a lot of stuff to unbox, but we'll see if I don't have anything interesting to unbox. Maybe we'll play a game of some sort. We'll figure something out. Either way, I'll see you guys Thursday. All right. Until then, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.